What your futuristic routine will look like in 2050. Hello lovely YouTube family, welcome back to Health Drop. In today's videos, we're going to talk about what your futuristic routine will look like in 2050. Before we start, I would want you to hit that red subscribe button so that you never miss out on any of our videos. In 2004, The Guardian correctly predicted that the developed world's over-reliance on meat would be one of the most pressing issues for the survival of our species. Britons need to say goodbye to burgers and meat, we wrote, because the overemphasis on meat in the Western diet is one of the things that stifles sustainable food production. Thankfully, the past decade and a half have seen an unprecedented interest in meat-free diets. In 2004, veganism was seen as a fuzzy, faddish lifestyle choice. Now buoyed by blockbuster documentaries such as Cowspiracy and What the Health, and celebrities such as Ellie Goulding and Ariana Grande, it has never been so popular. According to the Vegan Society, 600,000 Britons are vegan. In 2006, this figure was just 150,000. Demand for vegan food is at unprecedented levels. In 2018, the UK launched more vegan food products than any other nation. In 2019, 250,000 people signed up for the Veganary Challenge, pledging to avoid all meat and dairy for January. For those not willing to jump to full veganism, 1 in 3 Britons had at least reduced their meat consumption in 2018. But there is still a long way to go. The West's overconsumption of meat and dairy continues to fuel global warming. Livestock is responsible for approximately 14.5% of greenhouse gas emissions. 70% of global deforestation takes place to grow animal feed. In 2019, the Eat-Lancet Commission on Food, Planet and Health determined that substantial dietary shifts must take place by 2050. Global consumption of fruits, vegetables, nuts, and legumes will have to double, and consumption of foods such as red meat and sugar will have to be reduced by more than 50%, the panel of experts judged. By 2050, meat eating could seem like a throwback, according to some experts. Our current method of growing crops to feed to animals so we can eat animals is shockingly inefficient, says Bruce Frederick of the Good Food Institute, which works to develop meat alternatives. By 2050, almost all meat will be plant-based or cultivated. Plant-based meat is already here. The Beyond Burger and the Impossible Burger are widely available, but Friedrich predicts a widening of the products on offer to other consumers. We'll have plant-based meat that doesn't exist yet, whether it's pork chops, steaks, tuna, or salmon. Anna Taylor, the executive director of the Food Foundation, thinks that plant-based substitutes will find their way into processed foods without consumers being any of the wiser. Plant-based alternatives to animal protein will appear automatically in foods we eat without consumers having to change their habits. The real challenge will be persuading consumers to embrace cultivated meat, also known as lab-grown meat. This is developed from animal or fish cells in the nutrient bath of a bioreactor. It is not yet on the market, but at least 40 private companies are working on cultivated meat alternatives. In the UK, scientists at the University of Bath are growing bacon on blades of grass. The California startup just has created chicken nuggets in a bioreactor. Frederick is optimistic that we will all be eating cultivated meat by 2050. There won't be factory farms or abattoirs in 2050, he predicts. People will look back at the idea of growing live animals for meat in the same way that we look back at horse-drawn carriages for getting from London to Brussels. But we won't entirely stop eating meat from animals reared from slaughter. There will be some heritage breed farms and slaughterhouses where the animals are treated well, Friedrich concedes, but it will be a limited market. Growing live animals for meat will seem as archaic as taking a horse-drawn carriage from London to Brussels. If this all sounds like science fiction, strap yourselves in for the prediction of the food designer and futurist Chloe Roosevelt. We'll skip all of our current existing foods and switch towards a whole new eating system where we build foods with microorganisms, she says. Instead of growing crops or raising animals, we'll use microorganisms such as fungi, bacteria, yeast, and microalgae to directly produce the carbs, proteins, and fats we need. This food will again be produced in bioreactors before being filtered and dried into powders. But we won't be consigned to a joyless diet of flavorless dust. Roosevelt claims that 3D printing technology will be able to replicate the textures and flavors of regular food. We can make a library of mouthfeels and textures at a nanoscale, she says, to recreate sensations like freshness or juiciness. Eating microorganisms grown in bioreactors will be transformative. We'll be able to make the food production system so much more efficient, saving the land and water and energy resources. That's all for today, folks. I hope you liked the video. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so that you never miss any amazing videos from us.